What's up, YouTube? JankyYGO here. My name is Michael, and today we're going to be talking about the Krawler archetype. So the Krawler archetype was a common slash rare archetype. I think that with with one super rare that came out a long time ago, back when the World Legacy cards were slowly coming out. They were never a super powerhouse deck. However, I think that they are worth talking about because they are a very cool archetype. And besides Shadal, with the exception of Shadals, they're probably, and despite the fact that they're really slow, they're probably still one of like the better flip effect flip effect decks. And I say that because most of the other decks that revolve around flip effects are really, really bad. It's like Tin Dangles doesn't even know what it really wants to do. Shadals, like I said, are kind of an exception, but they can hardly count. They are technically flip monsters, but no one really uses their flip effects except for maybe Falco. But yeah, so we're gonna get into a discussion on why I think this deck is cool, and we're gonna talk about some of the cards. So the first up is their level 9. Yes, they have one level 9. The rest of the deck are level 2s, which is Deus Ex Krawler, which is a play on Deus Ex Machina. Fun fact, Deus Ex Machina comes from old Greek plays where writers would often back their heroes into a corner. So they would literally uh, have a god come down, or in this case, have an actor play a god on a machine, or which machines back then were like pulleys and stuff like that, would come down and literally save the day. So that's where Deus Ex Machina comes in. Deus Ex Krawler, play on that, which negates a card, and which negates a card if it was face down, and then if it's flipped up, because when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this face down monster, you flip it face up to negate the activation and destroy it. So if they target it while it's face down, you negate it, and then if it's flipped face up, you negate all monster effects on your opponent's field. So it's a skill drain, and if they do manage to destroy it by battle, you get to add a level 9 from your deck with different type and attribute. And it's meant to it doesn't really fit in the Krawler archetype, believe it or not. Like, it is a Krawler, so yes, you could play it, but you probably aren't going to play it in a dedicated Krawler deck. So yeah. Next up is Dendrite. This is a foolish burial for the deck, and all Krawlers have this really cool second effect that if they're face up, in its owner's control, and they leave because of an opponent's card effect, you special summon 2 Krawlers with different names in face down defense position. What makes that effect really cool is if your opponent were to solemn strike them, or and all that. So yeah, or solemn warning after you flip them face up if you flip summon them. Maybe not solemn warning, but solemn strike. But they negate the effect with solemn strike. They destroy the monster. You get You get 2 more Krawlers to take their place. So yeah, all of them have that second effect, and it's kind of really cool prevention on things. The only bad thing is that they have to be face up. So that's the actual downside of it. Because if they didn't need to be face up, what that would mean is if your opponent destroyed them, it would just summon more and more Krawlers from the deck until you ran out of Krawlers. So yeah, Ravener is the one that returns up to 2 Krawlers from your graveyard to your hand. They have the other Krawler effect of summoning more. All of the level 2 Krawlers have the summon more things, so we're going to kind of skip that. Note that none of these cards say except for themselves, except for one of them. Only one of them says, hey, you can't search yourself, or you can't do something with yourself. So yeah, all of them can. The summon effects from the deck, if they're destroyed, they can't summon themselves. However, their first flip effects, they're allowed to, because nobody cares, because they're flip effect monsters. This one adds any Krawler monster, including itself, so it can add another copy of itself. This one can special summon one in face up attack or face down defense, except for itself. And this one pops spells, this one pops traps. Alright, so the monsters are pretty basic, and they're all utility based, and they can be rather disruptive when you pair them with ways to flip them up on your opponent's turn and stuff like that, and they have a little bit of swarming potential. Now, one of the best support cards for the deck is definitely World Legacy Survivor. You excavate the top 5 cards, you add a Krawler or World Legacy card from your hand, and then you send the rest to the graveyard, and otherwise you shuffle the excavated cards into the deck, and then you can only summon Link monsters. So it does restrict you a little bit, but that's okay. Krawlers are a Link archetype, and sure, you don't get access to rank 2s, but that's okay. Yeah, this is definitely one of the better cards that they added for the deck. It adds kind of a way to, it adds basically like a pseudo search card that doesn't take a turn to use. Their field spell, which is coming up next, is actually really, really strong. So their field spell, all crawlers gain 300 attack and defense. Okay, that's fine. Nice little attack boost. They also have pretty high defensive stats for some of them. Like one of them has 2100 defense. So a lot of monsters can't get over them. You can special summon a level 2 or lower. So it's a hard once per, or it's not a hard once per turn. It's a soft once per turn of special summoning a level 2 or lower insect from your hand in face up or face down defense position. So it helps you swarm. And then on top of that, if they destroy one of your flip monsters by battle, you send the opponent's monster to the graveyard. It doesn't destroy, and it doesn't target. It just sends the monster, which is very, very good. So yeah, their field spell is definitely a card you need to get to. It kind of helps make the deck kind of go. Next up is one of their trap cards. This card came out later as well. So Survivor came out later for the deck, and so did World Legacy Mind Meld. So Mind Meld basically changes the effect of an opponent's monster to bounce a Krawler. That's what this card basically reads, and which will trigger their effect that when they left the field, you get to buy an opponent's card effect, because this changes the opponent's card effect into that. You get to summon 2 more, and then it also helps you swarm a little bit more as well, since you can target a Link monster you control and special summon a Krawler from your hand, deck, or graveyard to a zone it points to. So it helps you swarm, and you might not be able to use that for Link since you summon it face down. However, that's what World Legacy Pawns comes into. So Pawn lets you flip up a face down monster you control into face up attack or defense position, and then you can shuffle a Krawler in your graveyard to flip stuff face down, since Krawlers can't flip themselves face down because they're flip effect monsters. Flip effect monsters don't actually flip themselves face down. Usually you have to use another card to kind of do that. The other card is a continuous trap card that's a monster as well, but it's very relevant, and it's also a decent card, because if you summon it to a zone a Link monster points to, you can get a World Legacy card, which can include your trap card Pawns, or your field spell, or any of your spell and traps really, except for another Crusadia Krawler. So, what's the win condition of this deck? The win condition is actually the Link monsters. Fun fact, because the Link monsters are, one of them reads, which is the good one, Quillark. So, if it's destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card while it's in its owner's control, you target 2 Krawler monsters with different names from your graveyard, special summon them and face down defense. So when they out this card, you summon more Krawlers. Creepy crawlies. Woo! and it requires any two Krawler monsters. So then you apply these effects based on the number of Krawler monsters you control. If you have two or more, 300 attack to each all monsters you control, just in general. That plus the field spell means all your Krawler monsters are getting 600 attack. Your opponent can't activate cards and effects in the battle phase, so they can't stop you from OTKing once you get your field out. If you have four or more, or you don't, I guess you don't OTK. It's hard. You can when you push for the game, I guess, and then six or more, aka you basically have a full field because the deck doesn't really have a lot of extra link capabilities. All monsters you control can attack directly. So, yeah. The idea is you get out six other Krawlers, or six Krawlers in general, and because it does count itself, to attack your opponent directly with a bunch of monsters. The Link monsters also, the other two Link monsters are pretty generic. This one is any two insects, and the Krawler monsters have points you cannot be destroyed by battle and gain another 300, and they double any battle damage they inflict if they actually battle a monster instead of attacking your opponent directly. You hit your opponent's monsters, and the ones that it points to deal double damage. And then they also have the Link monsters all have if the face-up card is destroyed by battle or leaves because of opponent's card effect, you summon two Krawlers from your graveyard face-down defense position with different names. So yes, has the typical Krawler effect to summon out more if your opponent gets rid of it. What this one does is it also gains 300. It gives the monster it points to 300 attack. The monster it points to cannot be destroyed by battle. And the monster it points to also gains 2 attacks each battle phase. So when you put these two paired up with each other, what that means is any monster these two both happen to point to gets to gains an extra 600 attack. If you have a field spell, that's 900. If you have Quillark, that's another 1200 on top of it. They can attack twice on monsters during each battle phase, and they deal double damage. So whatever these two Krawler monsters, whatever Krawler monster these two are pointing to, gets insane amount of power and can OTK your opponent that way. Well, OTK is a pretty liberal term I'm using here. They can do a lot of damage. Now, the deck's swarming potential is kind of here. It's still a little slow, though. That's why Wormbait is really, really good in the deck, as we're not going to be playing any level 3 or 4 monsters, so we can activate this card and we don't have to worry. In fact, if we open up multiple Wormbaits, we can help push our OTK even further, because this is not a hard once per turn. We can activate as many as we want as long as we control an insect, and they're earth insects as well. So with these, we can make all of our Link monsters that we're probably going to make, except for Quillark. So we can't make the Krawler boss monster, which is Quillark. However, we can make the other two, which is really, really good with this. Something you can do instead, if you don't want to go that route, is they are insects, so you can pair them with the Parasite and Cocoon engine if you want. You could try pairing them with the Giant Ballpark engine, a card that you can put in the deck for more disruption, because the deck is going to need a decent amount, is Layer Wire, which you banish a insect type monster, then target a monster your opponent controls and destroy it. It hasn't got its text yet, where it's problem solving card text, but I'm sure that if and when it does, it's going to read, banish one insect monster from your graveyard. That's the cost. Or banish, and target one, I guess. Banish one insect monster from your graveyard and target one monster your opponent controls. That's the activation requirement. And then destroy that target is the other one. Alright, so a card that you can put in this deck, since you're going to be summoning monsters face down, and you're going to be flip summoning them, assuming you make it to your next turn, is World Legacy Armor. Because if a monster is flip summoned, you can special summon it from your hand, and then if it's normal or special, you can add any World Legacy card, which include the field spell, the Excavate 5 kind of search, or the trap card, that basically is kind of like a form of negation, and then pawns. So yeah, and it also can search out World Legacy Succession, and Succession you can use to summon out more Krawlers so that you can keep link summoning, or just so you can hit the 7 that you need, or the 6 that you need, so you can attack all your opponent directly with all your monsters. But anyway, so if you want to see a deck profile on the deck, I do have it, and it's right here. So 1 copy of World Legacy Armor, 3 copies of Dendrite, 2 copies of Raveneer. Just because 2 copies of Raveneer, just because it's not that great. A Foolish Burial is a little bit better in my opinion, and these are the only 2 that you really need to debate on. I guess you could also debate on Axon as well, and maybe cut an Axon to add a 3rd one if you really want to. Axon isn't as relevant as the rest. However, it does have a lot of defense, which is why we're playing 3 Axon. 3 Receptor, it's the Searcher. 3 Galileo, it is the best one, objectively, because it helps you swarm to push for your things. Already Covered Axon, 3 Spines, it pops monsters. It's the officially power-crept Maneater Bug. 3 World Legacy Survivor, 3 Pod Desires, because we don't really need too much. 3 Worm Baits, because this is, as we covered in our discussion part of the video, this is what helps us swarm. Terraforming, World Legacy Succession, Shadows of Creeping Legacy. Covered why this card is good. 3 of the Trap card, that basically is a negation. 2 of Crusadia Krawler, and 3 Legacy Pawns. Now, no, I'm not playing a full extra deck. I just kind of threw the extra deck together. I spent a decent amount of time on this right here, and the extra deck is 3 of each of the Krawlers, and then Mrs. Radiant and the Phantom Knight. So things that you can do is you can put an IP Masquerena, Borreload Savage Dragon, Access Code Talker. All of those are completely good to throw in here if you want. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Tell me what you guys think of Krawlers in the comment section below. If it is your birthday today, happy birthday. And if you want to send me any cool deck profiles or replays, my email's in the description. Please feel free to do so. And of course, and as always, have a wonderful day.